A couple of weeks ago, I guess a little over a week ago, Trump gave a phenomenal speech at Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
And the place was just packed. The crowd was great. I'm going to play a couple clips from that. This is the first one is Trump celebrating and talking about July 4th.
We gather tonight to herald the most important day in the history of nations, July 4th, 1776. At those words, every American heart should swell with pride. Every American family should cheer with delight, and every American patriot should be filled with joy, because each of you lives in the most magnificent country in the history of the world, and it will soon be greater than ever before.
And that's just typical Trump, very much an optimist. And I think he has a lot of Reagan in him as far as the way he gives his speeches.
I agree with you. I think he does too. And I love the fact that in just about every one of his speeches, he always talks about God.
Mm-hmm.
Always does. And that gets under the skin of the left more than anything, is that when he does that. But I do, and I heard this morning that his poll, the poll numbers had gone up for Donald Trump now because of that speech at Mount Rushmore, which it doesn't surprise me.
Well, speaking of that, here's a clip of him talking about invoking God's name.
We believe in equal opportunity, equal justice, and equal treatment for citizens of every race, background, religion, and creed. Every child of every color, born and unborn, is made in the holy image of God.
Now listen to that crowd. I'm glad. One of the things that made me cheer about that speech is he put born or unborn, and that was a subtle reference, but as a nation, to me, that is the one thing that is such a stain on our nation, is that we tolerate abortion by choice. It's not, or I should say abortion by convenience. I mean, I can understand if the mother's life is in danger, that, there's a tough decision to be made there. But I would venture to say that, 95 to 98% of abortions are not done because the mother's life is in danger.
No, you're absolutely right. It's especially in your cosmopolitan cities, it's done as a method of birth control.
Right.
Basically. If you, heaven forbid you get pregnant, it's inconvenient. And therefore, my birth control didn't work. Okay, well, get rid of it. I mean, that's the attitude. And it's just, I never did understand it. I never did. And I never could even imagine it after I had two babies. And day by day by day, I could feel the movement. I could feel the life. I could feel the joy. I mean, I don't understand how they even can rationalize the fact that that's not human being. I just don't understand the logic. So they'll go to the mat for a serial killer to try to save their life. Figure that one out.
Right. Well, what they do is they do what people have done all down through the ages. Whenever they wanted to, they've dehumanized the unborn human baby to the point where they don't believe it's an actual life. That's, I know this is going to sound shocking to people, but how is that any different than what Hitler thought about the Jews?
Yes, I know.
And
that's another thing. You look at what's going on with the fascism and everything in this country now, and the intimidation, and you just think to yourself, where have I seen this before? But God forbid you should say it aloud. God forbid you should mention that. You will be ostracized. You can't say that. You can't talk about Hitler. You can't talk about Nazis. Well, why not? There's a comparison here. I'm sorry, but there is.
Well, you're okay if talking about Hitler and Nazism as long as you're applying that to Trump or the latest Republican president.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So, well, here's another, this is where Trump started talking about what we're up against. And I was cheering at this point of the speech.
Angry mobs are trying to tear down statues of our founders, deface our most sacred memorials, and unleash a wave of violent crime in our cities. Many of these people have no idea why they're doing this, but some know exactly what they are doing.
That is so prescient right there, because the people on the streets don't know what they're doing, but it is being orchestrated, and the people that are doing the orchestrating do know exactly what they're doing. Here's another good one.
Those who seek to erase our heritage want Americans to forget our pride and our great dignity so that we can no longer understand ourselves or America's destiny. In toppling the heroes of 1776, they seek to dissolve the bonds of love and loyalty that we feel for our country and that we feel for each other. Their goal is not a better America. Their goal is to end America. In its place, they want power for themselves. But just as patriots did in centuries past, the American people will stand in their way, and we will win, and win quickly and with great dignity.
And here's one last one here. This is sort of a call to action by President Trump.
It is time for our politicians to summon the bravery and determination of our American ancestors. It is time.
He's talking to Republicans there, I do believe.
It is time to plant our flag and to protect the greatest of this nation for citizens of every race, in every city, and every part of this glorious land. For the sake of our honor, for the sake of our children, for the sake of our union, we must protect and preserve our history, our heritage, and our great heroes. Here tonight, before the eyes of our forefathers, Americans declare again, as we did 244 years ago, that we will not be tyrannized, we will not be demeaned, and we will not be intimidated by bad, evil people. It will not happen.
Wow, that's a pretty powerful statement.
It really is, and you know, in one sense, you think, how sad is it that Donald Trump has to say this to the country in a speech? You would almost think that he was talking about a foreign power trying to take over.
Exactly.
You know, trying to declare war on us. That's what you would think. And years from now, people are going to look back on this and say, this was actually going on in our country. This was actually the people that were doing this were I mean, supposedly, I mean, I don't know how many of them are Americans, but college kids and leftists and Marxists and communists that want to destroy our country. I mean, it's just an amazing thing to me. My fear is that they have waited so many decades and they've indoctrinated so many college students to hate this country that they are now feeling empowered enough to know that they have, that, you know, they've got command. And it sometimes it looks like it. They've got the media. They do. And the media glorifies these people. Right. They've got the heads of states, the governors who say, you have to stay inside and you can't go to a Trump rally and you can't go to church, but you can protest out on the street for Black Lives Matter. So, in a way, I have that fear in the back of my mind that if we don't stand up as a group and we don't show our power, we can't sit back anymore. We can't. I mean, it's gotten to the point now where, it's a tipping point because they've pushed us. They've pushed us to the limit. You talk about defunding the police. You talk about, children can't go back to school, controlling us in every